All right, so check it out. What do you guys think? I like it. I like it a lot, actually. So she has her own area. She can do whatever she wants with it. I have my space back over there. I can do whatever I want with my space. But man, check it out. Husband of the Year award right there. Now, so I need to show you how to build it here. So let's take you back to present time. So let's get out of here. All right, so we're back. So now that I gave you a little preview as to what it's gonna look like, I want you to get to building it here. So I have the wood over there already. I have the tools everywhere for that matter. So let's get to building. Okay, so this is what I actually have drawn up, and this is kind of what I'm gonna follow. It may not be exact, but this is kind of what we're aiming for. So the frame itself is gonna be 64 inches wide by 31 inches high. Now the height is actually gonna be a total of just over 36 inches. I have already accounted for some wheels that I'm gonna put on all four corners that are 4 inches tall. So that'll give me the height that I need. We're gonna start with the legs first and these stretchers. These stretchers right here, we're gonna save till the last, but so far for now, let's work on legs first and then long stretchers. Okay, so up first, we need to move all of my wife's stuff off of my workbench so we can get started. So after about 5 minutes of moving everything on over, we bring the plywood up and start ripping it down to much more manageable pieces. Now, everything that I cut right now is not down to exact length or width. We're just getting it down to manageable pieces so I can run everything through the table saw. Okay, so you see how these boards are a little bent, a little warped. So instead of gluing them up like this so that it keeps the bend, what we're gonna do, we're gonna flip one of them. So that way we have the bend going opposite directions. Whenever we glue them, it's gonna be perfectly straight. Okay, once everything is glued and dried, we move on over to the miter saw and just cut everything down to exact length that we need. Hey everyone, so I need to stop you for just a second. So the next clip that you should have been able to see either got deleted, I didn't hit record, nonetheless, I don't have it. Now, this is probably the most important part of the project, so I didn't want you to just miss out on it. So let's put together the frame. I actually built a small scale model of it, and let me just show you kind of what I have on my end here. So I'm gonna set you guys down right about there. So essentially, we have two long stretchers. This is just gonna be for one side. So two long stretchers. We have the two legs, and I already have a half flap on every single one of them. So essentially what we're doing, we're just putting it together, screwing it in. Okay, so essentially that's how it ended, just it went in a much bigger scale. So we have one side, the second side I already have built up over here. So after this, essentially you just need the little runners that go right here, which I built some. These are actually not to scale, I just found these right here. But essentially you just put them right here. In my case, I did use pocket holes and screws, a bunch of them for that matter, and you just do it on the top and bottom on both sides. So that essentially is how I made the frame in this case. But I'm gonna send you back to the regularly scheduled program. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of it. All right, so take a look at the progress. So this is where we're at right now. It's actually starting to look like something now instead of just pieces of board everywhere. So here's actually what I'm thinking, a little ingenious thing that I thought of. And actually let me grab a spray paint can here. All right, so on the sides, my wife uses a lot of spray paint cans. So on the sides, this is actually gonna be perfect to hold right here. So I'm gonna put a total of 3 shelves, one right here, one in the middle, one at the bottom. That way it can hold bunch of spray paint cans. I've already done some quick math. It should be able to hold 8 per shelf times 3 is 24. On the other side, I do want to do some shelves as well, but I also want to put a paper towel holder and an aluminum foil holder as well. She does use that, so we're going to incorporate that in here, you know, just make it a little more useful. I also did order a few electrical switches. The electrical switches I'll probably end up putting somewhere right here, and we have plenty of room up here to run some wiring. As far as everything else, we're going to put a center divider, and we're going to put a total of 8 different drawers. So it'll be a 10-inch, a 6-inch, and 2 4s. Same thing on the other side, 10-inch, 4-inch, 10-inch, 6-inch, and 2 4s on top. And that should be pretty good. Now I do need some more material. That's all the material I have left. So we need to run to the big box store. We need to get, I'm thinking just another one. I'm actually thinking of going with the 1/2-inch plywood. That way I can make the drawers out of 1/2-inch. That should be plenty sturdy enough. We'll see, it all depends on what they have. But nonetheless, that's where we're at right now. Let's keep going. Okay, and once I get the new material, it's time to move on over to the shelves for those spray paint bottles. And it's pretty simple, just cut it down to length, width, and as far as joining them, just simple pocket holes. Okay, and now we move on over to the center support, and simple pocket holes will hold this in place. And between the center support and each one of the sides, there will be another support. This will help secure the actual top onto the cabinet itself. Okay, and here's where I had a little bit of a logistical screw up. So I have 2 pairs of the drawer slides. I ordered a few more of the 22 inches, but for some reason I mistakenly ordered only 10-inch drawer slides. So the other ones are gonna have to wait. Right now we only have, again, the 2 pairs for the bottom. So we'll put those on for now, just mock them up. And then we move on over to putting the casters on. Okay, now on to making the drawers. Now these drawers are going to be pretty simple. Now there are a total of 8 drawers. However, they're all literally going to be the exact same size with the exception of the height. So they're all the exact same length, they're all the exact same width, and for the height, you really just have to move your fence on over to either 4, 6, or 10 inches. So as long as you keep that in mind, and as long as you keep your boards organized, you'll be good to go. Also, we are going to make a 3/16 inch groove on the bottom panel. That is going to be so we can slide a piece of 3/16 inch hardboard to act as our bottom panel. Now these drawers are not going to take a whole lot of weight, so I'm not too concerned with it. If you're going to be putting a lot more weight in them, I would suggest stepping up to a half-inch bottom panel. Pocket holes are going to be the method of joinery here. Now you do have 8 drawers, so you do have to kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm. So pretty much clamp them down, screw them in, slide the bottom panel in, and do the opposite side. Once you have that rhythm going, let's just do it 7 more times and that's it. Okay, so off camera, I glued up 4 pieces of wood to make a simple square. Right now I'm actually cutting the face of it. Now this is going to be for the switches that I'm going to place in here. Now these switches are going to control all of the cup turners. Currently we have 4 cup turners. I'm going to go ahead and put a 5th switch just in case we ever decide to add an additional cup turner. But for now, only 4 of them are going to be actually wired in. Up next, it's time for some sanding, and just some simple 120 grit sandpaper on all of the surfaces will do. Now, there are some voids in the plywood, so to fill up the voids, I do use some joint compound, and I do 2 stages of this. So the first stage, sand it, go again, sand it once again with some higher grit sandpaper, 150 or even 180. Okay, and once we're satisfied with the level of smoothness, we move on over to paint. And for some reason, I like the combination of red, black, and gray. You throw in a little bit of white as well. So we're gonna paint the entire cabinet red. The drawers themselves are gonna be black. Take some 220 grit sandpaper and just give it a light sanding. Again, we're not really trying to take material off, we're just trying to make it super smooth. There is a total of 3 coats of paint all the way around. Once we're done with the paint, we do hit it with 2 coats of the polyacrylic. Awesome, and on the next day we get our drawer slides in. So time to mount every single one. Again, the bottom 2 are already pre-drilled, so those are going to go on there pretty simply. Okay, so on top of the top left drawer, we do need to install another shelf. This shelf will house all of the wiring for our switches. Once the shelf is installed, we then need to figure out where exactly we want to mount the actual switch box. So once we figure it out, we then do pre-drill it. Okay, and once we have everything pre-drilled, I do need to make a hole large enough for all of the wiring to pass through. Now in my case, I actually made 2 holes side by side, and then I took a file just to sand or smooth everything out. That way we get no chafing on the wires themselves. Okay, so now we installed the actual wires into our box. Again, nothing is plugged in and nothing is hot as of right now. Now you want to be very organized, so make sure you wrap your 2 wires to each switch, because if you get these mixed up, it's going to be a nightmare. Alright, and then we just simply install the box. Again, none of the wires are hot. We're going to leave it as is for now. Okay, now that we have our drawers installed, it's time to move on to the drawer faces themselves. Now, for the drawer faces, I'm going to experiment a little. I've never painted on MDF, but I'm going to use 3/4 inch MDF just to check it out, see how I like it. So cut everything down to size. Now, this is where you do want to measure and be very specific. And the way that you measure in the entire cavity that you have, in other words, and you subtract 1/8 of an inch between every single drawer. And just remember, between every single drawer, and there's also the 1/8 inch gap at the top and the 1/8 inch gap at the bottom. So measure twice, measure 3 times, measure 4 times, cut once. Okay, and once we have the drawer fronts exactly where we want them, it's time to figure out where we want the drawer pulls to go. So I like drawing a center line and just measuring out 1.5 inches. And then once we have all of our lines drawn up, it's simple pre-drilling and making sure they fit. Now it was at this point in time where I decided to actually cover the spray paint shelves. So I cut some 3/4 inch MDF, bought some cheap black door hardware, and went to town. Okay, then we move on to painting them. Now they're just going to be a simple black. Same thing with the spray paint doors themselves. And time to reinstall them back on. Okay, and we are now at the point where all of you electrical engineers may want to just turn around and skip a few minutes here. But nonetheless, I was able to make it work, being as safe as possible. Again, every time that I touch any wires, I am unplugging it completely, eliminating any hazard of me getting shocked. Okay, and pretty much the last thing to do is put the top on. Now the top does have a pretty large bow to it, so I did have to bust out the clamps to flatten it out, and then just simply remove all of the drawers from the bottom and insert all of the pocket screws in. Bam, everyone, and just like that, we are done. So check it out. I like it. More importantly, my wife likes it. Now, so at the very beginning of these builds, we really set out to accomplish a couple things. Number one is storage space. So she was running out of storage space. She really only had 2 drawers over there and 1 more down there for the spray paints. So we fixed that here by a lot too. So there's a ton of storage space. And number 2, we were just kind of getting in each other's way. So whenever I had to work, I had to move all her stuff, vice versa. Whenever she wanted to work, she had to move all my stuff and move her stuff back. So it wasn't very efficient. So we fixed both of those issues. She has her space, I have my space, no more having to move everything back and forth. But for now, let's kind of give you a little bit of a tour here. So starting on this side, we have our spray paint cabinet. Plenty of room for spray paint cans. They're the perfect size, of course. On this side right here, we have full extension drawers. You can reach all the way to the back, no issues there. And I believe only the top 2 drawers are full. And nope, not this one. This one's half empty for that matter. But let's keep moving along here. This one's probably the most organized out of all of them. We have all of our glitters here. And moving on over to the next one. This one needs a little organization, but we'll fix that later. And I think what we're both most excited about is definitely the turners here. So it used to be that before, each one had its own wire. You have to fumble around to figure out which wire was which wire. Not the case anymore. So now you literally just hit bam, bam, bam. Or you want to turn on the second one, just turn on the second one, by all means. So just the flip of the switch there. Now, I by no means am a licensed electrician. By no means am I even a good electrician for that matter, but it works. That's all I got to say about that. It works. And over here on this side, we have another just spray paint cabinet. Paper towel holder up top, nothing too fancy. And I mean, again, you guys already seen the top here, but over here, there's plenty of extra room just for, just to kind of spread out. I am quite a bit jealous of this one. Maybe later in the future, we'll have one that big that looks like this. Actually, no, I want a smaller one than this. Maybe just chop it off right here. But nonetheless, this project is in the books. Again, I really like it. My wife really likes it. That's all that matters. That's all I have for you guys today. So please browse the channel, like, subscribe. We'll see y'all next time. Bam.